The chosen one is ready to don the sacred armor. It is time to leave old burdens behind. Your soul has passed through trials, the fire has purified you, and now you are equipped with divine power. Your armor is firm, your steps unshakable. Neither were your tears wasted, nor your sufferings meaningless. They have made you strong. They have made you a warrior. You are not an ordinary man. You have been chosen. The divine hand on you has acted to raise you up. Now stand up straight, hold your head high, and show the path you are walking to those who watch with trembling eyes, and write 77 in the comments immediately. Those who want to harm you can now only watch your ascension. The tide has shifted, and the weight of past actions now settles where it belongs. Those who once walked without consequence, weaving falsehoods and wielding control, now find themselves trapped in the very illusion they created. The unraveling is slow, yet relentless, revealing the cracks in their carefully built reality. What unsettles them most is not just the collapse of their influence, but the way you stand untouched, no longer tethered to their chaos. You have stepped beyond their reach, your path no longer shaped by their presence. While they wrestle with the outcome of their own choices, you have flourished in an entirely different realm, one where their shadow no longer lingers. They once believed they could dictate your story, but you have rewritten the narrative in a language they can no longer understand. Retribution moves on its own accord, unseen but inevitable. Every deception, every selfish act, every moment they sought to diminish another is now returning, not as coincidence, but as the natural consequence of their own making. The forces that once concealed their actions have dissipated, leaving only raw truth in their wake. Their certainty has eroded. Their arrogance is now their undoing. Once convinced of their immunity to consequence, they now face the undeniable reality of their own reflection. There is no need for retaliation, no need to glance backward. What was set into motion long ago has now reached its destination. They thought they could build their future upon the wreckage of yours, unaware that destruction only breeds more of itself. They took, manipulated, and deceived, convinced that the echoes of their choices would never return. But now, those echoes have grown into an undeniable reckoning. What they once wielded as power now crumbles in their grasp. While they search for ways to escape the consequences, every door they reach for only leads back to the truth. They have become prisoners of their own past, while you have walked freely into a future they never anticipated. They counted on your wounds, keeping you tethered to them, imagined that the pain they caused would forever link you to their presence. But instead, you released the weight they placed upon you and stepped beyond the storm. What haunts them now is not just their own downfall, but the sight of you, thriving in the space they once tried to control. They underestimated the power of release, the strength of quiet transformation. While they remain entangled in the aftermath of their own missteps, you have moved with grace into a life untouched by their grasp. Their greatest failure is not their own ruin. It is the undeniable truth that you no longer exist in the world they built for you. They linger in the background, restless and resentful. Every step you take forward feels like a personal defeat to them. Every moment of your joy is a reflection of their own stagnation. They watch from afar, hiding behind false pretenses, scouring through glimpses of your life with an ache they can't articulate. Some wear masks of indifference, but their envy leaks through in sideways comments and strained interactions. Their frustration isn't just about your progress, it's about their own inability to hinder it. They no longer hold influence over your path, no longer dictate your emotions. The door has shut. The story has shifted. The pieces they tried to claim are back in your hands. What they once controlled is now beyond their reach, and nothing unsettles them more than the silence of your indifference. If you feel the abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. You can help spread God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and contributing $20 or more. This divine gift will touch not only your life, but the souls of many through this platform. Each of you has a sacred place in God's grand design, and your generosity will be the fruit of our prayers. Act now. Share your blessings to glorify His kingdom. For you were created to do even greater things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. They miscalculated, and now they have to reckon with the truth. They operated in the shadows, assuming their actions would remain concealed. Smiling in daylight, scheming in darkness, they built their narratives with careful precision. But deception is never eternal. The veil has lifted. The whispers have surfaced. The truth, once a mere whisper in the wind, now rings out like an undeniable echo. Those who once clapped in your presence, but plotted behind your back, have been unmasked. The signs were there: tight-lipped smiles, unease in their posture, cracks in their fabricated support. Then came the unraveling. Revelations spoken in places they thought you'd never hear, betrayals they can no longer justify, dishonesty collapsing beneath its own weight. They never stood with you. Their intentions were never pure. Their interest was never in your rise, but in monitoring your movements, in searching for vulnerabilities, in ensuring you never realized the power you held all along. But they failed. Now the illusion crumbles. Their carefully woven stories no longer align. Their once solid alliances weaken. The people they once manipulated have started seeing through their facade. Desperate, they shift, they deflect, they attempt to rewrite the narrative. Some will deny, others will attempt to play the victim, grasping for sympathy in a reality they designed themselves. But truth is relentless. It moves before them, louder than any defense they could fabricate. The weight of their choices reflects in their voice, in their guarded expressions, in the way they avoid your presence. They once planted seeds of doubt within you, tried to cloud your judgment, convinced you to question the clarity you always had. But now, you see, the tactics are familiar, the patterns unmistakable, the false concern a veil too thin to hide behind. Their attempts to diminish your light only resulted in exposing their own shadows. Now, they must confront the energy they once sent out. The disruptions they orchestrated ripple back toward them. The foundations they built upon deception are giving way beneath them. The stories they thought they controlled slip from their grasp. What they worked so hard to conceal finds its way into the open. There is no escaping what was set into motion. The same fate they wished upon others circles back to them. Their past catches up, and the very image they sought to preserve fractures beyond repair. The illusion they lived within no longer protects them. And the most ironic truth? They underestimated the force of authenticity. They misjudged the resilience of truth. And now they have to bear the weight of that realization. There are those who move differently, those who stand outside the patterns of the ordinary, those who navigate a world unseen by many, not bound by the expectations of others, not driven by approval, but by something deeper, something untamed, something unwavering. They do not seek recognition. They do not crave validation. Their presence is not for display, but for purpose. And those who understand, who resonate, who recognize themselves in the space between words, know this path was never meant to be crowded. It was meant to be walked with certainty, with purpose, with the quiet strength of those who know their own power. Like a steadfast lighthouse standing firm against a raging sea, your spirit shone brightly in the darkest storm, a beacon for the chosen and a testament to divine favor. They unleashed everything they could: deception, betrayal, calculated schemes, believing it would be enough to dismantle you. It wasn't. You took every hit, felt every wound, but you refused to crumble. You stood tall when every force conspired to pull you under. The tempest raged, fierce and merciless, yet instead of being swept away, you adapted, moving with the currents rather than against them. You refused to be consumed by the shadows. Instead, you illuminated them with the radiant light of truth and perseverance. They mistook your compassion for weakness, assumed you would remain within their reach, convinced you were tethered to their approval. But they miscalculated. You reclaimed your strength, detached from the chaos, and walked away with your power intact. Now listen closely. This isn't just a tale of survival. It's a celebration of rebirth. You see, the struggles you faced were not meant to defeat you, but to refine you like gold in the fire. Every lie they spoke, every act of treachery they committed, was simply a stepping stone on the path to the abundance that now surrounds you. It's as if the universe itself was preparing a special blessing just for you, the one who refused to yield. When the pressure mounted and the weight of their schemes threatened to overwhelm you, you discovered that within every setback lay an opportunity for a breakthrough. The very challenges designed to break you ended up building you into something far greater, a vessel of hope, resilience, and unstoppable power. Consider the lessons learned. When faced with the darkness, you didn't succumb to despair. You chose to rise, to evolve, and to become a living testament of faith in action. Every trial you encountered was a divine appointment, orchestrated to lead you toward a future rich with promise and grace. In that sacred journey, you came to understand that true strength is not measured by how many times you fall, but by the courage to rise each time, with gratitude in your heart and a vision of abundance in your eyes. You turned every wound into a mark of honor, every scar into a badge of wisdom, and every moment of pain into a stepping stone toward a glorious destiny. And so, with every stride you take, you declare that no force in this world can dim the light that burns within you. The trials of yesterday have paved the way for the triumphs of tomorrow. Your journey is a living sermon, a message that echoes in the hearts of all who believe in the power of renewal and divine purpose. Today, you stand not only as a survivor, but as a radiant example of what it means to live freely, joyfully, and abundantly. Let every challenge serve as a reminder that you are divinely protected and empowered, destined to shine, no matter the circumstances. Your story is a victory, a resounding celebration of faith, strength, and the limitless possibilities that await you on the horizon. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace be upon you today. I am here to remind you of a profound truth. Our existence is grounded in God's divine plan, unshaken by the temporal concerns of the world. As the Bible says, whatever is done in faith will return to God in abundant blessing. Luke 6:38. Like that great oak tree, our roots are deeply rooted in God's universal truth. Every step we take, every stand we take, is secured by His strength. And now, you are being offered the opportunity to be part of that blessing. When you use the super thank you button and donate $100, this movement will return to you 100-fold in abundance. What once held sway over your emotions now holds no significance. The names that once echoed in your mind have faded into silence. Their words no longer pierce. Their absence carries no weight. You made the choice they never expected. You healed, not merely on the surface, but deep within, severing every tie that once bound you. The past has no claim over you. The bridges leading backward have turned to dust. This is your rebirth, an existence beyond their reach, a transformation beyond their understanding. Your presence now radiates an energy they can neither infiltrate nor diminish, and they feel it, they see it, they resent it. While they remain trapped in the echoes of old wounds, you have stepped into a future untouched by their grasp. Their influence has vanished, their control dissolved. You emerged stronger, your pain transmuted into unwavering power. The universe has spoken. The unseen has become evident. Truth has revealed itself, confirming what your intuition always knew. The weight you carried has lifted, your vision sharpened. Those who sought to drain your essence now watch in disbelief as you flourish. They desired your downfall, hoped to see you uncertain, lost, searching for direction. Yet here you stand, unwavering, aligned, stepping with clarity into your purpose. The distractions are gone. The path before you is clear, unobstructed. Solitude, once feared, has become your greatest sanctuary. The noise has faded, leaving only the quiet certainty of your spirit's guidance. Everything has shifted. The cycles that once repeated have been closed for good. The door to the past is locked, and those who once held a presence in your world sense the finality of it. They reach for ways to reclaim their place, seeking cracks, testing unseen boundaries. But they find none. The divine has intervened. The universe has drawn the line. Their access has been revoked. Every desperate attempt to infiltrate your peace meets an unyielding wall. The blessings that now flow to you are shielded. The harmony you've cultivated is untouchable. You no longer question the guidance that has brought you here. You no longer ignore the whispers that once warned you. You stand firm in your knowing, in your sovereignty, in your destiny. They once believed you needed them, that you would remain bound to their web. They were mistaken, and now they are left to face that reality. Your spirit recognized the falsehoods long before proof arrived. Your intuition warned you before the facades crumbled. The air shifted, the energy changed, and though they dismissed your instincts, you knew. The silence between words, the discomfort in their presence, the inauthentic smiles, they all spoke louder than their reassurances ever could. They tried to rewrite history, to convince you that what you felt was imaginary. But the soul cannot be deceived. The signs were there, waiting for you to listen. The ignored calls, the unanswered messages, the way their demeanor shifted in your presence. Every moment was a message, every hesitation a warning. Divine protection doesn't always come as a miracle. Sometimes it arrives as a disruption, a severance, an abrupt exit that only makes sense in hindsight. The doors that slammed shut were not barriers, they were safeguards. You weren't cast aside, you were redirected. Had you stayed, you would have remained trapped in an endless cycle, shackled by illusions, weighed down by manipulation. But you were destined for more. As you listened, clarity emerged. The truth surfaced, revealing itself in undeniable fragments. The illusions shattered, one by one. Their deception could not withstand the weight of reality. They relied on confusion, on your willingness to question yourself. They twisted the narrative, distorted facts, crafted a web designed to entangle your trust. But deception can only last so long before light exposes its cracks. One by one, their actions betrayed them. The unraveling was inevitable. No more doubt, no more uncertainty, no more justifications for what could never be explained. You see with new eyes now. You trust in what cannot be spoken, but is always felt. The darkness could not hold you. The divine led you beyond it. And in that journey, you found something greater than clarity. You found liberation. Not everyone was meant to remain. Some were lessons, fleeting presences meant only to propel you forward. The more you let go, the higher you ascend. The more you trust, the stronger your connection to your truth becomes. They believed you would remain blind, that you would never awaken. But they were wrong, and now they have no choice but to accept that. You stopped seeking apologies that would never come. You stopped looking for resolution where there was only destruction. You no longer replay old conversations, searching for answers that do not exist. Letting go was never weakness. It was the ultimate act of strength. It was choosing peace over turmoil, choosing expansion over confinement. They expected you to linger, to leave the door ajar, to keep the past within reach. But they miscalculated. You didn't just walk away. You removed the very foundation they once stood upon. There is no return, no open door, no second chances. The past is behind you, exactly where it belongs. The moment they thought would never come arrived in silence. At first, they dismissed it, convinced time would bend in their favor, certain that the distance was only temporary. But as the days stretched and the silence deepened, realization dawned. They were unprepared for the emptiness left behind, for a reality in which their grasp had vanished. They had built their confidence on the assumption that you would always be within reach, that your presence was a given, that you would circle back. But departure was not a strategy. It was not a test. It was survival. The weight they once placed upon you had to be lifted. The energy they drained had to be reclaimed. For too long they took, believing that patience meant permission, mistaking grace for surrender. But one day, something shifted. A threshold was crossed. A quiet certainty settled in. There was nothing left to salvage, no more explanations to give, no more illusions to uphold. Before a single word was spoken, they felt it. The shift was undeniable. The invisible tether snapped. And in that moment, the power they once wielded crumbled. They reached for the strings they used to pull, only to find them severed. Their attempts to stir chaos, to provoke, to manipulate, met nothing but stillness. Because this time, you weren't just walking away, you were ascending beyond their reach. Leaving wasn't a loss, it was a victory, a reclaiming of time, of joy, of clarity. And they can't comprehend it. They wonder how you managed to detach so effortlessly, how you erased their presence without hesitation, how you moved forward without hesitation. It unsettles them. While they remain fixated on what was, you are immersed in what's ahead. While they wait for a return that will never come, you are weaving the foundation of a new era. They observe from a distance, waiting for signs of regression, hoping for evidence of struggle, anticipating a moment of weakness. It will not come. The connection is severed. The cycle has ended. The lesson has been integrated. Their name holds no meaning. Their absence is no burden. The freedom gained in their absence outweighs anything they could have ever provided. They assumed departure would leave you broken. Instead, it built you into something untouchable. Your healing did not go unnoticed. It sent ripples through everything around you. Those who once watched in silence took note. Some were inspired, others were unsettled, many were angered. They never anticipated that you would step out of the loop, that you would disrupt the pattern, that you would rewrite the script. Your growth forced them to confront their own stagnation. Your transformation reflected back the things they refused to change. Some sought to follow in your footsteps. Others tried to drag you back into familiarity. Neither succeeded. You became proof they never wanted to acknowledge. Evidence that freedom is real, that healing is tangible, that detachment is possible. For those who chose comfort over evolution, your very existence became an unwelcome reminder of what they refused to embrace. They whisper your name, some with admiration, others with resentment, a few with regret. They wish they had valued your presence. They wish they had recognized your worth. They wish they still had access. They do not. Now is the time to share God's blessings. By clicking the super thank you button on YouTube, you can contribute to His plan and be a part of this divine mission with a donation of $100 or more. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will return to you exponentially, far beyond your expectations. Remember, His protection and blessing is on your every step and every donation. You become part of His divine plan. You are a strong, radiant being, unshakable as His mighty rock. Witness God's miracles, feel the fruits of your generosity in your soul, and illuminate the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed, and let the light of the Lord guide your path. This was always meant to be. The balance has been restored. The past no longer tugs at your spirit. The road ahead is unobstructed. The remnants of their influence have dissolved. Every attempt to return, every calculated move to re-enter your world is met with an unseen force blocking the way. The doors that once stood open have been sealed shut. The energy that once allowed them entry has shifted. The blessings flowing toward you are safeguarded. The peace that now surrounds you is impenetrable. You have reached the place where intuition leads and clarity reigns. The whispers you once dismissed now serve as your compass. They once believed you needed them. They built their confidence on the assumption that you would never let go. They were mistaken, and now they must face that truth. The signs were there before the final unraveling. The tension in the air, the cracks in conversation, the forced pleasantries, the discomfort hidden behind smiles. The energy shifted long before the words were spoken. They tried to convince you that your intuition was flawed, that your knowing was nothing more than misplaced suspicion. But the soul does not lie. The body speaks before the mind understands. The truth was always present, waiting for you to acknowledge it. The unanswered messages, the fleeting glances, the gut feeling you could never shake. These were not coincidences. They were guidance. Divine protection does not always come as an open door. Sometimes it is a closed one. The endings you once questioned were never losses. They were interventions. You were not abandoned. You were redirected. Staying would have been stagnation, a slow erosion of your essence, a life bound by illusion. But the moment you trusted, clarity arrived. The facade collapsed. The puzzle pieces aligned. The truth could no longer be ignored. Their web of confusion unraveled, and their deception was laid bare. They had relied on your uncertainty, on your willingness to doubt yourself. They crafted their narrative, twisting facts, rewriting history, ensuring you remained entangled. But falsehoods have a lifespan, and one by one, their actions betrayed them. The unraveling was inevitable. The moment came when no more explanations were needed, when no more doubts lingered. The deception could not withstand the weight of truth. And in that knowing, you stepped forward, no longer shackled, no longer questioning, no longer bound by the past. Some people were never meant to stay. They arrived as lessons, as catalysts, as fleeting chapters. The more you release, the lighter you become. The more you trust, the stronger your alignment grows. They believed they could keep you blind, that you would never awaken, that you would never find the strength to leave. They were wrong, and now they must live with that. You stopped expecting apologies that would never come. You stopped searching for resolution in places built on destruction. You no longer replay conversations, hoping for an understanding that does not exist. Letting go was not surrender, it was liberation. It was the choice to prioritize peace over familiarity, to embrace expansion over limitation. They assumed you would wait, that the door would remain open, that the past could always be revisited. They were mistaken. You did not just walk away, you removed the very foundation that once held them. There is no return, no open door, no second chances. The past is no longer yours to carry. The road ahead is yours to claim.